The issue affects groups of varying types. Thank God for the Catholic Church that has stood and taken its stand against issues like abortion, where we have killed over 55 million Americans, have died on the altar of convenience. It has been an atrocity greater than the Holocaust that has stained the fabric of America. So that religious groups beyond the Catholic Church, I'm a Protestant, pastor of church in the city, Faith Outreach Center International. Pastor Gerald Ripley pastors Abundant Life Church. We stand together on this issue. We stand together. Pastor Ripley will address you now.
I was seated in the James Madison High School auditorium waiting for the choir concert to begin. My daughter was in the choir. She was excited. She spoke highly about the choir director. I was looking forward to a good concert, and I wasn't disappointed. One of the songs they sang, it may have been the very first song, declared over and over again these words penned by Thomas Jefferson, put to music by Randall Thompson. I quote, "The God who gave us life gave us liberty at the same time," end quote. That phrase, "at the same time," ran through the sections of the choir enough times to remain lodged in my memory 20 years later. The God who gave us life gave us liberty at the same time. The trigger for our assembly today has to do with life and conception. The life and conception of an unborn child and the consciences that protect that life. But the larger picture is even more ominous because it reveals an overreaching attack on religious liberty. Years ago, the group we now know as the Pilgrims were persecuted because of their religious beliefs and left England to go to Holland. Shortly after that, they decided to travel to the New World where they would have religious freedom. They sold their homes. They bought an old freighter, the Speedwell. Plans were to join a larger ship, the Mayflower, and sail together. But the Speedwell had troubles. Ultimately, everybody crowded onto the Mayflower. The Pilgrims spent 7 weeks below decks. They endured stormy weather. They landed in the New World in early November. Half their number died during the first winter. But they prayed and trusted God. Their spirits were not broken. They cherished the liberty they had. Our minor inconveniences of rain and a couple hours on Saturday pale alongside that which they endured to obtain and secure religious liberty. May we grasp in like manner as the Pilgrims did what religious liberty means, and may we strive to fend off all attempts to diminish or demolish this great treasure that is ours. The Old Testament patriarch Jacob had 12 sons. 4 centuries later, the Israelites consisted of 12 tribes, each bearing the name of a son. They ranged from the tribe of Reuben to the tribe of Benjamin. The book of Numbers, chapter 2, relates the Lord's instructions about how those 12 tribes should camp around the tent of meeting. Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun were on the east side. Reuben, Simeon, and Gad were on the south side. The Levites, the tent of meeting, were in the center. Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin were on the west side. Dan, Asher, and Naphtali were on the north side. God dwelt in the tent of meeting in the midst of all the camps and people of Israel. Each tribe had a place. Each tribe belonged. Each tribe had a relationship to God. An attack on one tribe was an attack on all tribes. Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, though they had already received their land, were required to fight all the campaigns of Joshua so the other tribes could receive their land also. Today, we find different camps. There's the Baptist camp, there's the Catholic camp, there's the Methodist camp, and the Pentecostal camp, and the Bible church camp, and the Evangelical camp, and the Charismatic camp, and the Anglican camp, and the Jewish camp, and other camps. The camps belong to God. Each camp has a relationship to God. God still dwells in the midst of His people. By analogy, others should, no, they must come to the defense of any one camp when it's attacked. There's a dictum oft cited to justify the study of the past. It goes like this: those who ignore the lessons of history are doomed to repeat her mistakes. In 1937, a pastor in Germany, Martin Niemöller, was arrested by Nazi authorities and imprisoned in concentration camps for 8 years until he was liberated by the Allies in the spring of 1945. Niemöller spoke up. He came out alive. Dietrich Bonhoeffer also spoke up. He died in a concentration camp. In 1945, Martin Niemöller made this statement, acknowledging the German people's collective guilt for the Holocaust. I quote, "In Germany, they came first for the communists, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the Jews, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Catholics, and I didn't speak up because I was a Protestant. Then they came for me, and by that time, no one was left to speak up." End quote. In 2012, they have come for the Catholic Church. I'm not in the Catholic camp. I'm in the charismatic camp. But I'm speaking up today for my Catholic brothers and sisters. And I urge my kinfolk in all the other camps to remember the lesson of history, to not remain silent, to act like Niemöller and Bonhoeffer, to speak up now at this time. If we don't, history tells us our time will also come, and there will be no one left to speak on our behalf. The God who gave us life gave us liberty at the same time. At the same time. Life and liberty at the same time. Let us resolve to stand up for both.